Okay, thank you everyone. I really hope you had a very productive, you gained a networking lunch, you gained some energy back. We're gonna have a packed, interesting knowledge afternoon today. We're going to be presenting, and by we I mean them, the real actors on the ground working on our ALEC project, América Latina para la Educación Climática. And that has been running already for a few years, and I know they're eager to share a lot of their findings and what they have been doing with all of you. Again, I'm gonna try to be as mindful as Dorothée with the time, you know, so you know what to expect. So I expect all of you to try to stick as well to the timing, please, so we can leave at the right time as well to Villars. So we will start with a double presentation of our executive director, David Wilgenbus, and of Nathalie Nicetto, the project manager for the ALEC project. A quick introduction of what is ALEC, why this project, and why this can be of interest to you. And then we will move on to our partners that we will be introducing further on. So David and Nathalie, the screens, the floor,
thank you.
And their attention is yours.
I start. I want to see my slides here, not to be. Okay. Thank you, John. So, how does it work? Le bouton vert. Yeah, thank you. Je vois que tu es passé par là il n'y a pas longtemps. Okay, so it's my pleasure to start the presentation of this project. This is a project that is very important in our heart at the OCE, because actually the design of the project has been made at the same time as we created the OCE itself, and even before actually. We start speaking about this project before the official creation of the OCE. So we could say that the OCE has been built for the ALEC project in a way. It's our first large-scale program, and it's very successful. And through this project, we have had the opportunity to work with very brilliant and reliable and inspiring partners. So I will not take a lot of time for this introduction, but just to remind where we were when we first talk about creating this project. This project has been launched in 2020, but the design of the project, the first reflection on this project, was started 2 years before. So in 2018, basically. So the year of the creation of the OCE. At this moment, the landscape when it comes to climate education was quite different from what it is now. Eric already talked about that this morning, so I will not go into the deep detail, but basically there was a large effort on climate awareness, public awareness on climate change. As we can see on this picture here, you've got this very impressive involvement in public awareness. But if you look, is there a laser or something like that? No. Yes. Yeah, but it's not on the screen. It's not very efficient. But here, on the left, education was a very tiny part of this ACE effort. But of course, the UNFCCC, the Paris Agreement, and so on provided a good framework for this, but it was not very operational actually. And what we realized that in the classes, a lot of classes, schools did implemented education for sustainable development, but not so much for climate change topic. Actually, these numbers taken from the Eco School project show that just 2 years ago, basically, only 2% of the eco schools did work on climate change, and a lot of schools prefer to work on waste management or water, etc., because they are topics that are considered to be easier. Climate change was considered to be too complex for primary school or lower secondary school, and there were a lack of education material, of teacher professional development opportunities, and so on. So we had we had an interesting context a promising context, but a lot needed to be done. Why did we choose Mexico and Colombia and Latin America first? First of all, because Latin America is very much affected by climate change, mostly, in particular, but not only, but in particular because of the importance of the agricultural sector. Countries in Latin America are one of the ones who host the greatest biodiversity on Earth, which is specifically targeted by, affected by climate change. Latin America has some advantages. One of them is that there is kind of a cultural proximity between the countries, between the same language, almost all of the countries. And so we thought that it could be not so difficult to make people from different countries to work together because of this proximity. But while there was this proximity, there was also an important diversity, geographical diversity. We have mountains, we have deserts, we have forest, wild forest, and so on, sea, and also in terms of education systems. The education systems in Mexico and in Colombia are completely different. The way also the curricula are considered by teachers are completely different, and there is more flexibility in Colombia than in Mexico in the liberty of the teacher coming when it comes to the curricula, and the emphasis on education for sustainable development was very different in the two curricula, and so on. So basically, a diversity allowing to study different things and to have different outcomes, and a cultural proximity allowing us to work together, basically. The common points between the two countries was that in the past, prior to this project, we already have had an experience of working with some partners on science education. For example, with INNOVEC in Mexico, with STEM Academia in Colombia, there have been 10 to 15 years of experience in working together on science education. And as we have seen this morning, science education has a very specific role to play when it comes to climate education. So we had already some good partners, good experience in science education. With the help of other partners like Siemens Foundation, we have also networks and networks of networks, allowing us to bring around the same table NGOs, but also scientific communities, science academies, but also ministries of education and so on. So the landscape was really in favor of doing something. And the strategy of the project. So what did we want to do? I would like to just to speak about the scale of the project. It's what we could call a middle scale project. The objective is not to target all the teachers in the two countries. It's a few thousand teachers, basically. And why is this scale? We cannot build from scratch a project that is full scale, targeting all the schools, all the teachers, because we need first to pilot something, to experiment, and also because it's not our role as small NGOs, organizations, etc. It's the role of the ministries of education. But Deb told us this morning that ministries of education cannot scale up unless they have at least one or two good examples, good pilots. So the objective was to design a pilot, and not to scale, but a pilot that is scalable. And for this, it's important to be not too small. And actually, we see very often very spectacular projects with a lot of resources, a lot of money, a lot of partners, and everything is concentrated in one school or two schools or three schools. And of course, if you do so, you've got spectacular results. It's very impressive. But basically, you please yourself, but it's useless because you know from the very beginning that this kind of project cannot scale up. So the objective was to reach an intermediary scale, large enough to be able to face problematics that will arise when you want to scale up, the diversity, how to reach the schools that are not in the main cities but in the countryside, how to deal with communities, etc., etc. So you need a few hundreds, a few thousands of teachers or classes to have this problematic, but not too large, because otherwise it's not a pilot anymore, and you cannot be agile anymore. So this is why this project has been scaled this way, to target a few thousand classes. And of course, the backbone, pedagogical backbone of the project is the same principles that we have explained this morning, put a high emphasis on active pedagogies. It's not only a question of learning, but learning and acting in the schools, action-oriented pedagogy, positive pedagogy, and so on, and science-based pedagogy. And we consider from the very beginning that teachers should be at the center of such a project. And of course, the main ingredients of the project are resources, professional development, and local support and communities of practice. I think I will stop there, and maybe Nathalie, you can go into more detail into the project. And after that, of course, we'll have local inputs of what has been done concretely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nathalie, I would appreciate if you could go relatively
Fast.
Sorry.
No worries. I'm good at doing that. So now I'm going to tell a little bit more how ALEC is today, after all these meetings, travels, Excel spreadsheets, and stuff. We finally built ALEC. So ALEC, in a nutshell, the global funding of ALEC is 4 million, spread in the 5 years of the project, which is composed of 30%, more or less, coming from the FFEM and the AFD, so the French Facility for Global Environment and the French Agency of Development. The other 30% comes from our own subsidies at the OCE, some different grants, and the remaining 40% comes from local partners and their own co-funding. The project has 4 components. The first one is the production and adaptation of pedagogical resources for the class. These resources are produced based on the IPCC reports. So the OCE has a lot of resources, pack of different resources, and our local partners, they work to adapt this to the local context, not only in terms of educational context, but also in terms of climate context, because as David said, it's very diverse. Then the second component is the professional development of teachers. We do this with face-to-face training and online training. Actually, this online format is pretty new. It wasn't at the beginning planned like that, but because of COVID, I'm gonna talk about that later, we developed this format. The third component is the creation of a community of practices. The objective here is to allow teachers from Latin America to share experiences, share good practices, and also to break the gap between the scientific and the pedagogical world in Latin America. And the last component is the coordination, evaluation, and extension, because it is a pilot project. So the idea is to evaluate this scale, this type of project, and see what works, what can be improved. So then scale it up in time and in space. So after the 5 years, continue with activities and include other Latin American countries. And with all the activities that these components imply, we want to train 6,000 teachers. So that would mean to reach around 16,000 classes. The objective is not only to train them and so that they can speak about climate change with the pupils, but specifically to then encourage the development, the implementation of mitigation or adaptation projects in the classrooms that could actually ideally reach also the whole community. And then the third general objective is to foster, of course, the integration of climate change topics in the national curricula. So here, I don't know if you can see, okay, it's a bit small, but this is how the collaborations between all these stakeholders work. So the OCE coordinates the project and provides pedagogical resources and follow-up to the local partners in Colombia and in Mexico, who they actually are in direct collaboration with local education authorities. The support of the local education authorities is key. It has been key for the project because they give us access to their teachers, to the teachers network. They also give the time that teachers need to be trained. So we reach these teachers through our partners who work with the local authorities. The Scientific and Pedagogical Committee of the OCE also reviews all the resources produced by the ALEC partners. This is to ensure quality in terms of science and pedagogy. So different reviews happen at different moments in the resource production. And then regarding the governance, we have two bodies: the steering committee, which is composed by the directors of each institution and also by the FFEM and the French Ministry of Environment. And on the other side, we have the monitoring committee, which is composed by all the project managers who are here present, and it's more operational. We meet once a year with the two committees, and at the beginning it was supposed to be face-to-face meetings, but again, since COVID, we started doing it remotely. We take advantage of this kind of events to meet in person, but actually remote works very well, and it allows us to save some CO2 with the traveling. And finally, we have external evaluators to evaluate the project. We work with Technopolis, which is based in Colombia and in Mexico, so it's perfect. It's our two countries. Regarding the partners, I won't go into details because they will present themselves, but we work in Colombia with STEM Academia, Fondo Acción, who are NGOs, and STEM Academia is a program of the Academy of Sciences. We also work with the University of Rosario and the Ministry of Education. So you see very different organs, but they are like, how do you say, complementary. And at the same time, in Mexico is the same. We work with Innovec, who works, as David said, in the renewal of science education. We also work with Mario Molina Center, Eco Schools Network, which is like the program of the FE. And we will work also with the Secretary of Education of Veracruz and IRD Mexico. So here you can, if you can read, you can see more or less what they do in the project. I'm not gonna read every sentence because I know time goes. So, as I said, we have these external evaluators who provide us with reports every year, and they gave us the midterm evaluation because we're almost getting to the final year of the project. So I wanted to show you here some numbers, of course, not all of them. But as you can see, after we use surveys that we give to the teachers who are trained before and after the training, and we can see that they have increased their knowledge in climate change, but most important, I think, is to see that they actually apply what they learn, no? This is not... even if they learn about climate change with all the training that we give, with hands-on activities, active pedagogies, you're not sure that they are going to apply it. And we've seen that actually, yes. We had the chance with Gian to go to Mexico 2 months ago or so, and to go visit actually schools, rural schools, where the teachers were talking about ALEC. The students were pronouncing like, yeah, thanks to the ALEC program, etc. So it's pretty motivational, at least for me, to see this. So up to now, we have trained 3,000 teachers. So we're half there from the objective that we set up at the beginning. I'm pretty optimistic on this number because the project started a little bit late because of COVID pandemic. So we lost almost 2 years of training, and now in just 1.5 years, partners have already trained many teachers. So this is considerable efforts. And not only it counts the teachers that we train, but also those that we reach by other activities, like webinars, conferences, word of mouth, because teachers speak with their colleagues. And we actually see that we've reached a larger number, so 17,000. Of course, you can see we have produced in the framework of this project many resources of different kinds, so handbooks for the class, teacher training protocols, videos, and all of these are adapted to local contexts, as I said before. Our local partners work, as I said, also with local secretaries of education. So this is has been key for the project, and we've either participated or held 20 high-level conferences or events. And just to end, I would like to talk also about the challenges, because it wasn't easy at the beginning for this project to start. It started in 2020, so, oh, sorry. Tick, tick, yes, no, yes. So it was a tricky start. First of all, because of the pandemic, so schools were closed, gatherings were forbidden, and more in Latin America. I know in Mexico it lasted almost 2 years of schools completely closed. Teachers were trying to adapt to the remote class, and they were overwhelmed. And if you are right with climate change, they would say, no, I'm already like super busy. So this was hard, but as I said, we adapted, and some partners were supposed to be doing just face-to-face trainings, and when this happened, they said like, okay, let's do online training. And what comes with online training is also follow-up, right? Because the motivation can fall very easily. And no, they did great. So I'm pretty like happy, proud, and impressed with the resilience of our partners and of the project itself. Another challenge that we have and that we already knew it was gonna be, it's like the complexity of the subject for the teachers. So as we know, climate system is very complex to explain, and then to explain it to children. And yes, we can see that it is true. Teachers are, they don't have enough time for training sometimes. And so this is why I said it again, because I think it's important, especially with the public that I have in front of me today. The support of local authorities, educational authorities, is key, because they can give, if it comes from the Secretary of Education to the teacher saying, you have to follow this training, they will. So yeah, this support is very important, and hopefully our partners have many alliances in different states, so this is great. And finally, of course, the local political and social crisis that can happen, of course, in countries like Colombia or Mexico. I'm Mexican, so yeah, I know that's like normal life, but then you have to adapt. For example, if what happened in Mexico at the beginning is that the government just changed. So some of our partners were relying completely on state funding, and from one day to another, they had no funding anymore because of the new government. So we actually lost one partner like this. It was the Academy of Sciences of Mexico, who had to quit the project because of this. Of course, we also had some trouble with security. We were supposed to have a face-to-face training, and the day before of that, they were like a drug dealers' war in the city. So of course, no teachers came to the training, but of course. So these kind of things that always happen and you cannot prevent. But yeah, so again, I think that we are adapting, and the results are promising for the last year of the project. Well, I'm gonna stop right here. And I'm gonna give the floor to Claudia from INOVEC Mexico. Thank you.